Hello, this is Dr. Jerry Cuomo. I'm here with a case that I received. It's called Judy's case, and again, we're going to walk through our fit checking on this case. So we instructed our lab to give us an extra pristine die. Immediately, I marked it with a red line all the way around so that we know where the margin is. And I'm going to put the crown now. This is an Emax crown that was just delivered today by courier. And so I'm going to walk around and I'm just going to double check my margins first. So first things on our list, marginal integrity. Looks like the lab did a pretty decent job with that. I got a good feeling that there's no gap space and nothing visual that I can see and no overhangs. So maybe just shy there slightly, but nothing too terrible. All right, so then now the next step is to just now visually inspect the contact proximal areas. And I noticed that there's a little glob of glaze right there. Maybe we can blow that up on the screen right there. So that might be a problem if it were in the middle of the contact, but still that's something that should have been picked up by quality control. Okay. So again, a little thing like that could hold a dentist up if they're not astute to check that. The other thing that I noticed on the surface texture toward the gingival area is that possibly they could have rubber wheeled the surface a little bit more. And if you run your pencil, you can actually, it's not a very smooth surface near the gingiva, and that could be plaque retentive. As you move toward the incisal, it's like a glassy, very glassy, highly smooth area. So maybe the lab can then take it back and just go over this again just to get it smooth. Again, it may be picking a little bit too much, but you know we're fighting against plaque, and this area again on the lingual is kind of it looked like almost like it's bubbled up or just rough, and maybe it could have been highly polished a little bit more and then glazed after that. So notice that glaze was probably not permitted to go on the contact area on both the mesial and the distal aspects. So let's just double check now the proximal contact areas as we move toward the solid model, which is next. Now on every solid model I like to go ahead and mark the model with a pencil and mark those margins, and that tells me if we're seating all the way down properly, like a baseline, if you will. All right, lingual as well, and then interproximal, and then we mark the try to mark the interproximal so we can look through. Now the next thing is take the crown and seat it slowly down into place, and we notice that it does cover the margins nicely. Okay, so we know it's not impinging on the soft tissue at all as well, and that's good. Now the next step is to check the contact areas, in which we're going to go ahead and do. So again, I'm going to take the BK31 and go in, slide that into place. And then push down on the crown, make sure it's seated all the way, and then pull. And we've got kind of a contact point and not so much a contact area on the distal. So let's try it again. We'll slide this, get it right in there like so. Push all the way down firmly, and then pull. So it looks like we do have a contact there. So that's contact on the distal. And now we're going to go ahead and now see the mesial. I'm pushing straight down, and now the mesial, there's absolutely no contact on the mesial. So we've got to send this case back to the lab to have that added. Maybe get rid of that bleb that's on the mesial lingual. And you could see it right there. And maybe even have them fill in the distal contact a little more. We need a little more of an area back there, a little more of a contact area. The other thing that I noticed was the marginal ridges. I don't know if this is a chip on a model, but looks like this marginal ridge and that one are it's kind of up there, and this one's up as well, maybe not as flush. So it's just something to look at. How are we going to check that? Well, we now go to the cut die model. And then we look at the cut die model. Fairly decent work. Looks like nice. I don't know why we're using two different stones. One for the pour up of the master cast itself, and then a different stone for the. Looks like it's different for the base. You wonder if the setting expansions are the same or dissimilar, and as well as the opposing. So we've got a question regarding that. Occlusion. We put the paper in place, close down, pull all the way through, and I don't really feel like we've got contact and centric. Let's try other teeth. It's a little light coming through, so something is binding here, and it looks like the anteriors. Okay, so again, I'm going to push a little more firmly, and no occlusal contact on that. So let me readjust again. It looks like on the distal we've got some. Yep, we do. Alright, so there is occlusion on the distal contact area. Alright, next thing to do is to check excursions. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And it looks like we might be a little too steep on this tooth, and looks like we're hitting right here more so than any other place. So she could go all the way up there and actually wear down her upper and canine. Since this is a first buy, I think what I'm going to do is just have our lab adjust that out a little bit more. Let's take a look at the study model that was given, mounted, and the same type of thing. So we slide that forward, and we notice that she does have some contact in the posterior as a function back there. But I really think that that the cusp tip should be right in this kind of this concavity right here. Let's draw that. Put an arrow there and an arrow here. And so we'll line those two up like so. Alright, so the same here. We know we don't have a full arch impression. It would probably help, but right there I think needs a little more adjusting. So if I draw the same arrow and draw the arrow here. Well, it's not marking, but it's right there on that ridge. If that could be just slightly adjusted a little bit more. See, it wants to almost pull the crown off the die. Okay, so we need to button up the contacts, adjust this little bleb right here, and I think with that being said, I think we should be in good shape. Yep. Alright, so a couple adjustments, and then we'll be right back at you to put this in. We'll etch and bond it in place. This is Dr. Jerry Cuomo. We'll see you on the next video clip. Take care.